Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Steven and welcome back. Alright, in this video I want to do a review on Mango Languages Medical Spanish course slash program. And this course is pretty much just Spanish language, but um, concentrating on medical terms, right? So, all right, this program has a total of 27 lessons, and they're divided into two separate chapters. One chapter is for diabetes, and the other one is for medical dosage and usage. Overall, I thought that this program was all right. It was respectable. I kind of expected a little bit more from the program for some reason. Um, I wasn't expecting it to be like a full-on medical terminology course in Spanish, but I kind of feel like maybe perhaps the program, the course was maybe a little too concentrated. And I know there's so many aspects that you can concentrate on when it comes to medical Spanish because there's so many different aspects of healthcare and well-being, right? And so because of that, I kind of think that maybe the beginning chapters are well, this program is divided into two chapters thus far. Perhaps Mango could make more chapters for the program. I could see that happening if there's a demand for it, because there's so many different places to go and places and themes to concentrate on, right? But when you begin this program, you're pretty much, you're concentrating on diabetes more or less for about half of the course, and then the second half is like medical dosage and usage, right? And don't get me wrong, I did learn some useful vocabulary, um, but there was a couple of issues with the vocabulary that I'll point out a little later in this video. Just a couple of issues that I have. Yeah. But one of the issues that I have is perhaps that's maybe a little too concentrated at this particular point. Again, because diabetes and medical dosage and usage. I'll admit that medical dosage and usage is pretty broad, so I'll give that one a pass. But diabetes, while I have nothing against diabetes, well, you know what I mean, learning about it, right? But I kind of just felt like maybe because there's so many other different things that we could like cancer, right? Or perhaps HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, right? Considering that there's so many different, diseases and different aspects, perhaps maybe we should, concentrate more on perhaps visiting the doctor, perhaps first, and then get into the specifics a little later. But perhaps, Mango has something up their sleeves that they're planning. If they don't, maybe they should. Hint, hint. um, but let me get into the vocabulary aspect of it. I'll say that I did learn some useful vocabulary words and also some useful phrases as well. However, I will say there was a couple of issues that I kind of had because when Mango introduces, phrases, words and phrases, sometimes I kind of like to check with maybe Google or a bilingual dictionary and see, okay, how do they say it here? How do they say it here? Is it said like this in a colloquial sense, or said like this in a more formal textbook type of sense, right? And with that being said, there was a couple of issues that I ran across. You know, there was one issue was kind of not really a big issue, but I suppose like there were a lot of different ways to say one word, right? Which I kind of don't fault Mango for that, because it's so many different aspects of it. But I kind of feel like Mango should have spoken on it. Like, for example, stroke. Mango gives you the phrase derrame cerebral, right? For stroke. And that is true, and I kind of think that that is probably the most common way to say it, perhaps. But, within the research that I did, I found out that there were some more phrases that you could say, right? All right. So in the research, I found out that you could say it a few ways. Infarto cerebral, ataque cerebral, right? Apoplejía, that's another way. Accidente cerebral. ACB, kind of like the letters. ACB, meaning a stroke. Yeah, that's definitely like, what, really? And then the last one, accidente cerebrovascular. Vascular, right? Yeah, a lot of different phrases for that particular word, right? And I know that's kind of tough for Mango to deal with, because Mango wants to kind of make things simple as 1, 2, 3. And I understand that, because some people are starting on different levels than other people. However, I did notice, like in, say, Mango's program for legal Spanish, they did give you like, kind of like, by the way, this phrase can also be said in Spanish like this, that, and the third. But I noticed here you weren't really given that option. Like, they didn't give you that information. Right? And this kind of happened for a few words, right? But in addition to that, there were some issues that I found with Mango that weren't just a matter of, oh, a different vocabulary word or like a synonym. It's more so like, okay, is this proper grammar? One phrase that I'll speak on is the following phrase for you tested positive for type 2 diabetes. All right, let's just say you tested positive for da 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 da. I'll get to the diabetes part a little later, because that's an issue too. I'll speak on that a little later. But okay, so in Spanish and in Mango Languages course, they gave you the phrase usted dio positivo para, meaning you tested positive for, right? Para. But when I looked up to see, okay, Googled the phrase to see who's actually using this phrase, or is it a phrase that's being used? And they did use the usted dio positivo part, but the issue I had was with the word para. I didn't see para. I saw either por or in. I saw those two phrases a lot more than I saw para. And I'm not sure if this could be, if para can be used and it's just not a popular way to say it, or if you can't use it at all, because there are differences between por and para, right? you can't use you primarily most of the time you can't use those two interchangeably, even though they both mean for. You can't use them interchangeably most of the time. So I'm like, how do you? Okay, that's interesting. Hmm. So for me, I kind of had to incorporate por and in. Usted dio positivo por or usted dio positivo in. Incorporate those phrases into my vocabulary so that I can feel more confident when I speak because I want to make sure I get it right. All right. And I kind of just feel like maybe Mango languages, perhaps, I don't know, perhaps maybe drop the ball. I'm not sure because this could just be something as just a matter of preference, right? But I just didn't see that phrase being used in reality, right? Outside of like this program. So it was a little weird for me. And the same can be said for usted dio negativo por and in versus usted dio negativo para, right? Pretty much you can interchange those, right? You can say the same thing there, right? Another issue that I found was with the phrase type 2 diabetes. Okay, when I saw, okay, Mango gives you the following phrase, diabetes del tipo 2, right? For type 2 diabetes. I'm like, okay. But then when I searched for that phrase online, I didn't run across that particular phrase like that. I ran across the phrase diabetes tipo 2, not, diabetes del tipo 2. So I'm like, and I'm seeing the phrase diabetes tipo 2 a lot more than I'm seeing diabetes del tipo 2. So I'm like, I think I should use diabetes tipo 2 because that just seems like a more popular phrase, right? So it's kind of like, Mango, I think maybe that phrase may be used maybe in a more textbook, like very high register situation, if you get what I mean. Kind of like there's registers when it comes to language. High register would be like a very sophisticated language versus mid register would be maybe more everyday, and then low register would be considered like slang expressions perhaps. So sort of like that. But yeah. And there's one more phrase that I want to go over, talk about. They gave you the phrase for saying, what are you doing? Or sorry, what are you going to do? And they gave you the following phrase, usted qué va a hacer? Which if you look at it, it means you, what going to do? If you look at it like that. But when I Googled and searched online, I kind of didn't really see people using that phrase. That may I don't know. That may be maybe like a toss-up thing. Perhaps they kind of use it more so in a colloquial sense, or maybe more so a form. I don't imagine that being formal. I kind of, if that does happen, if I see that phrase, it kind of seems like it would be more colloquial, slangish, more so. When I searched, I kind of found two of the following ways you could say it. You could say, ¿Qué va usted a hacer? Or, ¿Qué va a hacer usted? And also another thing I kind of want to note right quick. Mango languages, they spell out the word usted. And usually in Spanish, when you encounter usted, it's usually abbreviated as UDS. Well, sorry, UD. UDS is ustedes. But it's usually abbreviated as UD, period. Ustedes would be UDS, period. And I kind of think that should have been a grammar note. right? I can understand Mango languages wanting to expose you to the way that usted and perhaps ustedes is spelled. I can understand that, but I kind of think perhaps that maybe should have been a grammar note. But yeah, but I don't want to come off as if I didn't, enjoy the program or to get anything out of the program, because I did. I was exposed to a lot of different phrases, and as well, I kind of like some of the grammar notes that were included too. Like for instance, let's see, one grammar note that was really helpful is from lesson 17 was when saying quote unquote to help you lower your cholesterol, ayudarle a bajar el colesterol. It's redundant to use the possessive noun you because this is understood from the context. Therefore, we literally say to help you lower the cholesterol instead of saying to help you lower your cholesterol. I think that was a very good grammar note, stealth grammar, right? And another one that was a pretty quick grammar note is like they're like the words grave and serio are synonyms and can be generally used interchangeably, right? But overall, I don't regret taking, the course, doing the course. I don't regret it. I enjoyed it and I was able to get some information out of it. I know, just for the fact learning how to say like you tested positive for it. I didn't know that phrase before I came into this program, but now it's kind of like implanted in my mind at this point now. As well as a lot of other phrases too. For me, I would rate this program kind of like, if I'm being tough on it, I say 2.5 to 3.5 to 3 stars. But if I was being generous or a little lenient, I would be like 3 to 3.5 stars, 3.5 stars. So, perhaps a 3, 3 out of 5. For me, some of the things I really enjoyed, but some things I was like, okay, is it really set like this? I don't know. I'm not sure. But thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. Feel free to, give me your feedback, definitely. And, feel free to ask some questions, if perhaps you have some questions about this. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video. Adios and goodbye for now.